This
Me
one.
too.
Yeah.
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 Cool.
Yeah, it should come, I think, by next week.
Yeah,
Hopefully before the show. Got it from Sweetwater.
Yeah, I mean, I use it for
on.
the rinse mixes.
Are we on? We're on. Hold on.
We're on.
All right, guys. We're on. We're live.
We're live.
Welcome.
Live and direct.
Cheers. DJ and beers.
DJs and beers.
DJs and beers.
Episode 4?
Cheers.
Episode 5, guys. 5.
It's
What
been
are you
5 already. Wow.
It is 5 already. You missed one. No, you didn't.
What are you guys drinking?
We're first of all, hello, welcome, world. Here's DJs and beers, your favorite DJs and beers. We're still missing one.
Yeah.
Mr. Drumcell is still missing in action somewhere. But until then, say hi to everyone. And what beers are you drinking? I'm having a Hanalei Island IPA today. You know that?
IPA. Oh, I love IPAs. No, I don't know that one. But nice island vibes.
I'm drinking a Peroni, which might give some indication to the guest that's coming on tonight.
Nice one. I'm drinking a stout.
Wow.
A double oat milk stout from my friends at Stillwater Artisanal. Thank you, Brian.
I got a Pilsner Pop Fuji from Brewery West here in San Pedro, California. It's good.
Wow, that looks dope.
Unfiltered.
Sweet.
Mo said he texted you, by the way, Chris.
Huh?
Mo said he texted you.
Did he?
I don't know if I want to read the text he sent me. So I guess
We should do like a version of like mean
Might
tweets
not.
or something.
Yeah, what
We should read. Each of us should read on one of these
Hey.
episodes. Like
Mo is essentially Mo is how do you say it? He is in huh? He's occupied right now. He's occupied right now, and he's going to join us later.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what he said. So do we have a secret guest? Oh, nay, we have no secret guest at the moment. He's going to join us any second. Because what I want to explain to the people, we're slow, but we're slowly prepping up, building up our game here with how we do this technically, microphone-wise, video-wise, and guest-wise. So we additionally have an official producer now in the show, right? Can we say that? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Andy now, hello Andy, he's somewhere in Berlin, is basically the producer, and he is in charge of the secret guest that he should put into our participant list any moment now. And until then, let's talk about the last week. How is everything?
How was your week, Chris?
I think I'm in day 41. I had a great week. I probably had the busiest week of my life so far, especially definitely of the busiest week of the lockdown. And it's great weather outside, so that helps a lot. And things are good. Yeah. Today I
Good busy or bad busy?
Huh?
Good busy or bad busy?
Good busy.
Good busy.
Good busy, really good busy. Like it's a lot of good things, a lot of things to do and new things to learn. That's the most amazing thing, especially like things like this, like streaming to restream, to do the Zoom, to this, like these are all things to learn. I've been working on a lot of music again. I've been doing more of the club mixes and stuff like that. So it's been a good week. And I'm preparing, I have a stream on Saturday again, and I'm basically preparing music for that as well. And have some other little new features in my rave cave.
Are you still doing the marathon sets in your stream, or are you limiting it to like 2 hours?
I every time I want to limit to 2 hours, and I end up doing it like 6 hours, was it? Both
6
times?
hours.
Wow.
Yeah, both times 6 hours, but somehow these 6 hours fly by so much quicker than you were in a club somehow. I don't know, maybe because you're just sitting here and the rave cave is very comfortable.
Down, yeah.
I think you should add more graffiti to the rave cave.
Yeah.
So like every week we see the background, we see one new, I don't know.
True, I should
Something.
change things around.
maybe bring in some graffiti artists.
I mean, you can't see it, but there's way less dust today. Yeah. So I was really vacuum cleaning everything and stuff. It's pretty clean here now.
Nice.
But what about you guys?
Matt, have you worked on music the last week?
What have I been doing? I've been doing this remix for Chris, finally, which I think he asked me over a year ago. I finished 2 remixes for David for Truncate.
Wow.
Which are now just being mixed. But yeah, this one for Chris has just been sitting here now for a few days.
You're a machine.
And yeah, I'm just trying to find the time. When I can find the time, it works. So, but it's not easy with the kids and everything else going on. But yeah, I'm usually working at night, so just doing a few hours here or there.
I've been cleaning and I came across something that I wanted to show you, Matt. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
By the way, we have a secret guest here.
Oh, here she is.
No, there. Where do I have to point? I don't know. Hey, secret guest, please hide your identity. We don't know who you are. What's that? What did you show?
It was an LP that I did in 2010, The Machine.
This is a really cool project that Matt did. That like it's like one of those like secret weapons that I pull out and play every once in a while, and everybody runs up. They're like, "What the fuck is this?"
Nice.
And not a lot of people know about this, right? It was very kind of under the radar kind of thing. Very.
I'm your secret stalker, Matt.
I know you are, Chris.
Since years.
You know what I love about it, Matt? The cover reminds me of like the artwork and the visuals remind me of like the On You Sound stuff.
Yeah,
record covers.
It's designed by, it's very similar. It was designed by this guy Misha Hollenbach, who does this fashion label Pam Perks and Mini. He's also like a visual artist, and he did the logo, and he did. We did a gallery show in London as well with the art, and Joe Clausel played. He actually remixed the whole album.
Wow! Send me that, please.
Back when we had money.
No, the artwork is beautiful.
Yeah, no, it's super nice.
Amazing.
Dave, how was your week?
Really busy actually. Every week we keep talking about the remix contest, but it's finally over. I picked the winner and the other winners for the compilation, so that's all done. The winner's some kid from South Africa, but he lives in London. His name is Kai Van Dongen. He did a really dope one, so he's going to be on the vinyl with Matt, Josh, and Lauren Flax. And I've just been getting that stuff ready, getting everything prepared for the digital release, for the vinyl, getting the artwork and mastering. So it's been pretty good, keeping me busy for sure.
Did you get your inspiration back to make some music again? Because I saw your tweet. You're like, long.
I know, and honestly, listening to all the remixes actually did inspire me a bit. So I haven't written anything fully yet, but I've definitely have some ideas down now. So it's sparking some inspiration finally. It's been too long.
And what about you, Ali? What have you been up to?
Just sorting out my financial situation, to be honest with you.
Have you been out? Have you been out and about? Have you been out on the streets? Been to stores?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a full lockdown here. I have been going for walks. I've been visiting my parents who live about 30 minutes away, my brother and his kids. And I just I turn up and hang in front of the house for like 10 minutes and they come out and, we catch up a little bit in person. We all FaceTime every night, but it's not the same,
Yeah.
And if I am able to, living here, I'm able to, I'm not that far away from them, so I'm able to see them. And so I try to make that effort, every couple of days or so to keep myself sane. But other than that, just like cleaning, organizing, watching cool documentaries. I'm watching a lot of cool music documentaries.
Nice.
Like? What did I watch recently? There's an amazing one on Joe Strummer. It was so good, I watched it twice. Because a friend came over and we watched it again, and I had no problem watching it again, and it was better the second time around. Yeah, there's a cool section on that where he was going to Glastonbury a lot, and started to really get into, you know, the rave thing and the and techno and drum and bass and music like that. And he was actually interviewed about that genre. And it was really interesting to hear Joe Strummer from The Clash talking about techno.
You know which documentary I saw recently is the Metallica one, Some Kind of Monster. I know it's kind of old.
That one's a classic. Yeah.
I just saw it. It's amazing. It's so good. It's so interesting, these people.
Really, really interesting.
Wasn't it? It's been a while since I've seen it, but I found the scene where Lars Ulrich auctions off his stuff. And in the beginning, he pretends to be like really sad and sorry that he's auctioning off his stuff. And in the end, he's sitting there like, oh, I want more money. I want more money for it. Let's more money. And it was really like, whoa, this is so revealing.
It was his art, right? He's an art. He paints on the side or something. I think he was auctioning his art, right?
It's something like that, yeah.
I don't know if it was his own art. I don't remember that. But there are some really cool paintings.
Or he's a collector. Maybe he was auctioning off some of them.
I think it's collection stuff.
I put all your real names, your artist names in now. But by the way, secret guest, do you have a beer? Otherwise, we'll kick you out again. All right, but it's not a Corona, right? No.
That's a great mask too, a secret guest. I don't think anyone's gonna top Miss Kitten though with the Aphex Twin mask.
Yeah.
No one can top that.
Matt chose the secret guest this week, so Matt, you're the only one who knows. Matt, how was your week? Any music documentaries that you watched?
Not really. I mean, like I said, I've just been in the studio a little bit, and then the rest of the time with the family and label stuff, and trying to find the right guest, which he's sitting right there, or she's sitting right there, should I say?
How active is the label going to be this year?
It's going to, at the moment, things it's business as usual. Yeah. I had quite a good chat with Leon Oki, who's my label manager. He also looks after Jamie Jones and Damien Lazarus. He looks after quite a few labels, and he's saying that that business is great. The vinyl is selling. I think because people are at home, they don't have, maybe at the moment they don't have other expenses, so they're just sitting there and they're ordering records. So physical sales.
You're still doing vinyl on everything this year.
Yeah, and physical sales seem to be doing well, and I think Juno, Beatport, etc. are still doing. Yeah, they're doing great. Great numbers. So
do you think vinyl sales are going up during these times?
I think so. I've got a friend, John Martin, who I work with on the Quiet Village stuff, and he works for Stussy in the UK, and he said that that people are. He works for the web store side of the business, and he said that people are just buying like crazy, and I guess people at the moment, people are at home, maybe for some people they're going to be able to go back to work. Maybe money's not an issue at the moment, so maybe they're actually treating it like a holiday, even so they don't have the other expenses they usually have, like traveling to work or going to pubs. So
wow,
yeah.
And how many you have? 2 side labels, or
at the moment it's just we're running records, and then we have RSPX, which is the techno label, and then there's Our Time, which is the reissue label. But the main focus at the moment's been the records label, concentrating on some new artists, and I mean the other things work really super well, but especially with Our Time, we have to find the right things to reissue. So. And then it's also about, I guess, it's also about finding the time to schedule things, because I'm always signing new music, and in fact I've got to stop. This is something I've got to stop doing.
And how are people submitting demos to you? Like, how are you going?
So, I mean, usually it's through friends, and but we're also using Hello Demo, which is this new platform.
Yeah. I use that for this mentoring contest that we did with Bridge 48 in Barcelona.
Yeah. So we're working with them at the moment. We're just running a remix contest for Black on Black with the served tracks. So that's going through them. And but you know how it is. I guess a lot of the music comes through friends of friends. There's so much.
Yeah, I get asked a lot, like, how can I submit a demo? Or people try to submit it to me on Instagram or whatever. And all these years that I've had the label, and I've had the label for like more than 10 years, music just has a way of finding its way to me. There's no, because we've set up links before and we do have a link, but there's so many people that submit stuff.
Yeah.
Thought of like going through it, it just becomes unmanageable as much as I try to make an effort.
Yeah.
And music just has a way of just navigating itself somehow to me. And then like you connect with an artist because what you're hearing is really promising, and so you A&R them, in the traditional sense, and they get better, and then you see them do better and start getting booked and getting a music agent, and they start blowing up, and then that's when it's really like satisfying.
Yeah.
Hey Matt, how long are you giving people to do the remix for the remix contest?
I think it's 3 weeks.
Yeah,
Okay.
give some details. Is it still on, and where can people join?
Yeah, you can sign up through Hello Demo. You can probably find the links through my Instagram, Facebook. It's pretty much everywhere, and it's pretty straightforward. You sign up, and then you'll be sent the parts. And there's like eight stems, and probably like David's the remix 12 he's doing. We're probably we'll pick a winner, and this will be part of a remix package that will probably come out in October, something like that. We're actually, at the moment, we're in the process of starting to look at remixes for serve tracks, because we have never commissioned any remixes so far. So we're looking at that at the moment. So yeah.
Sweet.
Are you listening
By
to
the way, Matt's name is Rafios.
I was wondering. I was wondering when you noticed. Okay.
Ratio slave.
Is it ratio slave then?
Ratio slave.
This is actually a great thing. I can give you guys names.
Yeah.
Oh, you can call me Record.
Just
all names.
Just like butcher everybody's name.
Yeah.
I'll do that when I have the next beer. By the way, this beer is fucking fantastic. It's so good.
Very good. Yeah.
Is it German?
It's very light beer too.
Is it a German IPA?
No, this is from this brand. It's like where the longboard thing is from and stuff.
Oh,
which country?
Maui, not Maui Brewing, right? No, Hanalei. No, I don't think I've ever seen that one actually.
I've seen it everywhere in every store in LA. When I went shopping, I see these kind of beers.
Oh,
Doesn't
look familiar.
Well, I'll have another one with the next one. Maybe you recognize it. For all our live viewers, thank you for tuning in. As I mentioned at the beginning, we upped our game a little, and we have Andy in the background monitoring our social medias, basically wherever we are. I think on my YouTube channel, for example. So if you want to ask questions, then put them into the chat of the YouTube or the Facebook, and Andy will find them. And then in about the last half an hour of our talk, our plan is to answer some of your questions, right? Is that right, Andy? Andy? Oh, I just got told our secret guest is almost suffocating in his mask. Matt, how about you tell us something about a secret guest, and so we can kind of guess who he is?
So this guest, I met this DJ producer back in 2015. We both played as a party on the coastline of Tuscany. He lives in Barcelona, and you can probably guess who he is.
I know. I'll put his name in. I'll put his name in. Oh no, I'll put his name in.
I think that's a good thing. Like you put the name in, and then bam, you take the mask off. I know who it is.
Not sure if I spell it right. Did I spell it right?
Pope Francis.
No. No.
Okay, Chris.
Hold on. Oh, I have to type
You know,
more.
it's
Does anybody know?
old school producer.
I know, yeah. Should I say it?
Say it.
Oh, Marco!
Marco Ferroni, yeah. You spelled it wrong, by the way.
Ah,
Did you spell it wrong again?
Ciao,
Emma?
Marco.
I was about
Ciao,
to die.
bello.
I was about to die with a mask.
Sorry about that.
how's it going, man?
Marco, I'm spelling your name right?
Yeah, no, wrong. It's the last name is it's Aone.
Exactly. Everybody.
Faraone.
Farewell.
Let me drink, man.
Why do I always
Marco,
get this
cheers.
wrong? Am I really? Okay, cheers, Marco. Welcome to the show. Welcome to
Thank
DJ.
you for inviting, Matt. Thank you for inviting.
My pleasure, as always.
You have an album coming out on records.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, why don't we start there?
Tomorrow is coming.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
It's a killer album.
When is it out?
Thanks for the promo, Matt. I played one or two of the tracks on my live stream on Saturday. Killer album.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate. I mean,
I downloaded it, but I haven't listened yet. Sorry.
it's fine. It's fine.
Enough time.
It's better if you take some time. I've seen you were quite busy about this remixes contest in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
So it's like as soon as you have some free time.
I have it downloaded.
Give it a
I
listen.
just haven't even opened it. It's still in a zip file.
I can totally recommend it. I've been playing, I think, at least 3 tracks or 4 tracks out of your album already in my streams.
Thank you so much.
I love this
So,
album.
Marco,
And,
like-
and
You guys met in 2015, Matt, you said, at a
Yeah.
gig. Now,
Yeah.
take us back to that gig and kind of how that all led to you releasing a new album on, is this your debut album? Have you released an artist album before? Or is this the first artist
No,
album?
it's my second album. My first album came out maybe in 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
So it took me a while until I was able to do another one and release. Obviously, I did a couple of EPs in the meantime. Some of the EPs came out also in Rickets. We did like maybe 3 or 4 EPs in the meantime. And in the last year, I was working more on this project. So I think it was a time for me to land with something more important on this label because Matt gave me a lot of trust in my music and support. So when I was with the project in my hands, I said, okay, I should give it to him because it's a label I have a good relationship with, and also I have a good relationship with Matt. So it's I'm really happy that it's coming finally on the label. Yeah.
And the artwork's amazing. The pictures, the photos, amazing. So yeah.
so Marco, you've heard us just talking about like how demos find their way to the labels. How did you manage in the very beginning when you were just starting out producing music to get in touch with artists and to get their ears?
It's not that well. Actually, at the beginning, wasn't easy to send my music because I mean nobody really know me, and I'm coming from a very small town in Italy where there is not a music scene, where there is nothing actually, and there is still nothing because everybody thinks that I'm from Florence, but Florence is a city where I lived for the last 10 years. I was living more. My original city is Lucca, which is a very small city in Tuscany. Maybe some of you know the city. But there is nothing there, so it was not easy for me to start DJing even, and of course sending music to the labels. And I mean, I started step by step by signing the first tracks on the first small labels, and then going through steps into bigger and bigger labels, you know. But it took me a long time. So maybe Ali knows about the real beginning because he was one of the first ones who get my very first releases, and also Chris after a while. But I mean, it took me a long time, and it's not easy. It's not easy for a new talent to send the music out and let some people listen to this music, you know. And it's actually really cool, this thing you guys are doing about this contest and stuff, because you give me an opportunity that I didn't really have back in the days, to some new talents and some great new artists that they deserve some space or some visibility, you know. So it's really important what you guys doing. I really appreciate, to be honest.
Yes. Yeah, I remember we played a few times together in Italy.
Yeah.
Once in Napoli, once in another city.
Napoli, yeah, with Ben Sims. I remember it was Ben Sims also playing at the party.
And I remember like hanging and listening to you play, and obviously I knew the early productions and stuff.
Why I played a very hard set there.
No, but it was like hard but funky. Like it wasn't.
I was playing after Ben Sims. I remember, so it was really, yeah, really intense, to be honest. But I mean, yeah, we played a couple of times together, and I think I played with all of you except Truncate. With Truncate, I just hang out for dinner.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to remember what city was that when you came.
Something I love.
I can't remember what city that was though. That was quite a while back. Maybe
the time we went for dinner was Florence.
Florence. Okay.
Yeah. And then we hung out for dinner once, if you remember, in LA. Before my show at Incognito.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was at the time we went for dinner.
And how's everyone in Italy?
Sorry?
How's everyone in Italy? How's the family and stuff? How's everyone doing?
Actually, no, everything is fine, to be honest. My family lives outside of the city, so they I mean, it's quite, I mean, they cannot leave the apartment. They need to stay home, so it's quite complicated, you know. But it's getting, as I know, it's getting a little bit better as as they started way before than other countries to take controls and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, still it's difficult, you know. I mean, we just need to wait. There is nothing we can do, actually. I mean, my country is one of the countries that really suffered this situation, because the quarantine has been really intense and really hard, you know, for all of them. I'm living in Barcelona, so I'm, let's say, a bit worried because my family is there and I cannot reach them, and every day I think about what I'm doing and I call them every day to know the situation. But they also say, Marco, there is nothing we can do. We just go to the supermarket, buy some food and come back home. This is everything what they can do. So
are you able to travel to where they are right now, or what's travel like between Spain?
I could be able to do, but honestly, it makes no sense, because in this moment, I can be, I mean, if you never know, you know, you never know what's gonna happen. Maybe I'm not sick, but maybe I can be sick, and I don't want to go to my family and risk that they get infected as well. You know, there is a lot. I mean, maybe you are like you really want to see them, but in this moment we need to really care about the contact, you know. So it's making not really so much sense. So I say, here I'm safe in my apartment, nobody can touch me, I'm here. So it's like even when you travel, you know, you never know what's gonna happen it's like I just don't feel to go for them. If it's for me, I would love to hug them now. But I know that sooner or later I'm gonna do it. So
I'm a little confused now, because I haven't been really looking outside. But are there airplanes flying, and could you basically go to an airport now and buy a ticket to go from Barcelona to Florence?
Basically, not really. You need to have a specific reason. Which is maybe some of your parents are not feeling good. They go to you need a reason. So you need to call the embassy. You need to call the embassy, make papers, make a couple of things to be able to travel. But you need a specific reason to do it. You know, I'm still, like, let's say I'm still resident in Italy. But I can go there, but in this moment it makes no sense.
No sense. But where you are now, do you have your apartment, or you have your studio there too?
I live alone in my apartment. I've been alone for the last 40 days, completely isolated, alone.
But do you have your studio?
I had my studio outside, but I had to take some of the stuff, some of the main stuff, and bring them here in my apartment because the studio is not in my apartment. It's two different venues, different places. So I just need to go. I had to go to my computer, my 2-3 main keyboards and stuff, and I wrote them here. That's it.
So you're still able to make music. That's a good thing.
In the headphones. In the headphones, because my headphones are like.
Marco, I'm curious. You told us early on how it was to send out your first demos and to get accepted. How was it for the DJing side of things? Was the DJing coming after the producing then, or was it the other way around?
No, I started DJing before. Then and actually in my city we didn't really have a music background. In my city there was nothing in terms of music scene. So I didn't really actually know what to play and from where to start. You know, I started DJing with hip hop, then I moved to drum and bass, and then after drum and bass, I discovered house and techno minimal, which is the big time where Minus and I was also following you guys, Dubfire, Radio Slave, Chris Liebing, everybody. You know, all the legends, the minimal house legends that back in it. I mean, most of you were playing this kind of music back then, in 2006, 2004, 2003. So it was like my, let's say, first approach before I discovered techno. And actually, my first release was kind of minimal, you know. So it records this kind of sound, but I remember how to start, honestly. You know, I was coming from a town without any kind of inspiration and background, so I just took what I could see in the clubs, you know, next to my area. And imagine I saw Radio Slave playing the first time in a club in Italy called La Canniccia, which now is closed. And he was playing, it was like maybe 2005. And Chris Liebing, I saw you playing it in Fortezza many times when I was so young. And I didn't have the chance to listen to Ali when I was really, really young. I saw him playing a couple of years later. But well, I mean, I'm listening you guys from a long time, and I really appreciate also Truncate, which is doing amazing now. I play almost all his tracks. I mean,
thanks.
It's a big pleasure to be here with all of you guys.
So how long have you been playing at 10X, Marco? How long's that relationship?
The last show was not the one with Gaetano Parisio, was the one I played in February, I think.
Okay. But how many years have you been playing there now?
I started as a resident 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I started as like a resident playing warm-ups for all the artists. So it was like, yeah. Let's say it's still my home club, you know?
Didn't we agree on putting everything on mute?
I don't know how that got through.
Yeah, go for it. Marco, now I understand why you're so versatile in your music styles, that you can do like housey stuff, techno stuff, you can do drum and bass stuff. Now I understand that. The first record that I ever heard from you, where the first time your name came up, I don't know the name, but it had this really soulful male sample in it, and I loved it. It was so extremely groovy.
Let's say my music development was really, I changed myself so many times, getting inspiration from so many different moments.
Marco, were you a weekly resident or a monthly resident?
Obviously, I mean, I was a monthly resident.
Monthly.
I was a monthly resident, but back then I was resident of other clubs. I was resident at clubs like Kama Kama, which is also kind of famous. I was resident at Frau Marlene, which is also another club in my area. And then I was resident every Friday. So I did a long residency in between where I started until when I was 20, 21 years old.
What would you suggest to young artists like you? It sounds like you were doing like these stepping stones and going through these phases of different clubs and residencies, and I think that's an extremely amazing school for a DJ, and it shows. What would you like suggest to young DJs who want to become?
I suggest them to find a residency. obviously, because this helps you to really understand the crowd, and it is something that many upcoming artists are missing. But sometimes it's not their fault. It's a fault of the clubs, that they're not really focusing on the DJ, on the resident DJ, and they don't give the resident DJ the value that it should maybe have. DJs are listening to the music, they buy records every week, and the promoters sometimes should listen also to the resident DJ to make a club to make the program of the club and understand the music direction, which is something now is completely missing. I mean, I don't see so many resident DJs known because they are resident of a specific kind of club. It's there are always some places that they are special, but none of them are. I mean, and when I was playing at the beginning, I had this opportunity, thanks God, and I never hide my past. I was also a driver. I was driving to the club. I was bringing them for dinner. I was doing all this bullshit, and I had so many artists that they still remember that, for example. So I mean, for example, I drive once Lenfaki. I drive once to the club. I went in for dinner. I wake him up in the morning to bring him, which is something that I always remember. When you remember these kind of things, I think you did them. You did this kind of long, in Italian we call it gavetta. I don't know how you call it in English. When you sacrifice yourself to do things, like this, and you start from the real beginning, it helps you obviously to keep your feet on the ground, because if you don't forget from where you come from, it helps you to maintain your ego and, and being concentrated on what you're doing and realize how lucky you are today to be in a certain kind of position, So it's really, I have a lot, I mean.
Did 10X and some of the other clubs that you had residencies at, did they involve you in the booking process? Did they like ask you who they should be booking for the club? So like, how involved were you in that?
They always do the final decision, but obviously they always ask, obviously. Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm more like a regular guest of the club, because I'm not playing every week. I play like 4 or 5 times a year, which is still a lot. But I mean, sometimes I suggest some artists to book, and sometimes I bring some artists playing with me, like I did with Chris, for example. I mean, for Chris doesn't need help, but it was a chance for me to share this essay. Guys, I would love to play with Chris. Do it, and they say, okay. Chris was playing in a different club, for example, in Florence. He was playing for so many years at La Fortezza, and it took me a long time to bring him back playing at 10X. I mean, I had to talk with him. It was a long work to.
That's funny because I remember 10X because Ali was playing there regularly, right? You played 10X quite regularly, and I always had the feeling 10X never wanted to book me.
Yeah.
10X had a reputation maybe at one time as like, also because Alex Neri was a big resident and who set the music policy.
He's still a resident, yeah. He's still a resident of the club, yeah.
Yeah, and I think for a while from what I understood from just talking to Alex and everybody, they really wanted to focus on maintaining the house, sound.
Yeah.
And then they start, obviously, with techno becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't think they could ignore that any longer. And then they started to introduce, more techno artists. But one thing I love at 10X, I just thought of right now, is that wall of fame. All the artists. How old is that club, Marco? It's been around for...
It's a long time.
80s.
It's open from...
Second, we can say hi to Mo.
Oh, Mo.
Hello.
He's connecting to the audio now.
Hello. So it's actually really the club has a really old story. They started like Ali says in the 80s, so it's a long time with the same name. 10X has been...
I remember looking at that wall, and I saw Bauhaus had played there, and I happened to be good friends with David J and some of the other members of Love and Rockets and Bauhaus, and I was playing that night. But I text David. I'm like, I'm in Florence. You guys are on the Wall of Fame. I'm playing tonight. We're friends. Man, it's come full circle. It's really, really crazy.
Marco, one question. Can you check if you have some other like internet connections running in the background, because you're crapping out sometimes with your signal?
Okay, I will
Can you
find out. Okay.
Hi Mo, how are you doing?
He's still
Can you hear us?
connect to audio.
He's still connecting.
Still connecting. Nope, you're not there yet. You're still
So Marco, your album's coming out tomorrow. I guess this question is for Matt and Marco.
Yeah.
Being that you know, you're obviously not able to tour right now. What are some new, if you've thought, you know, that far ahead, what are some, or that thoroughly about it, what are some ways that you're gonna try to promote the album without you being able to make appearances? Like, is it gonna involve you doing live streams like everyone's doing, or what kinds of things are you guys, you know, engaged in right now for the promotion and marketing of the album?
I want Matt to answer first on this.
I guess what we always do is with records is we'll let the record, we'll release it, let it go and see how it's received, you know, within the first week, and then I guess from that early reaction, then we'll take steps to maybe promote it in certain ways. But of course, you know, Marco was such a busy DJ, you know, and with such a busy schedule. So I mean, yeah, just through all the usual ways, but you know, nothing. We haven't discussed any more than pushing it through YouTube and all the usual ways, you know. I mean, I think the PR's been great, the reaction's been great from DJs, and I guess we'll see how it goes with radio, and it'd be great to get. So I think the album has a certain slant to it that's maybe palatable for radio shows as well. So yeah, we'll see.
Did you guys ever, Marco, maybe you can answer that. Did you ever consider, because of this whole virus thing, to put the album on hold till like next year or something?
No.
Or no, you wanted to get it out there.
The thing is with Marco is he already has like even more bombs ready to drop.
I don't know where you find the time to make all these bombs.
And we're actually saving these ones.
I make everything on like 90% of the projects are starting on the road.
Yeah.
Wow.
I bring always my laptop with, of course, I record some sessions home, and then I bring them in my computer, and I just the laptop, because if I don't have time, I just work like this. That's the best way to always keep working and have new ideas and stuff. And yeah, as Matt said, we just signed, and we have a new release coming soon, a new EP. I did 2 mixes for him of 2 of the old classics. Like I did Greenhouse, which is
wow, I want to hear that.
I did Greenhouse, and
which you made on the road. You made that when we were on the road in Colombia, right?
I made the Greenhouse remix. Matt knows. He made. This is actually funny. We were in Colombia playing in Cali.
Yeah.
In Cali, and Matt said, "Oh, you have this Greenhouse package coming. I don't know. I mean, because they always release some different remixes of the tracks, you know. So it was this package came out from Glenn remix. I say, wow, this track is. I say, I want to release another package of remixes soon. As I say, but I don't have the samples, you know. So I went in my room in the hotel after dinner. Matt knows because he knows the story. I went in my room after dinner. I bought the samples on Beatport, because like all the stamps, like 20 stamps. I bought them. I start working on the remix in the room. I finished the remix in 3 hours, and I played it in the gig with him.
They're all yours,
efficiency, dude. That's efficiency.
I swear because Matt remembers when I played the remix, and this is the final version. Of course, I mixed it down when I was home. I care about the mixing, but this is the final version, the one I did when we played him in Cali.
And you're working in Ableton, right? You do everything in Ableton.
Yeah.
Mo, are you with us now?
I am. Can you guys hear me now?
Yay!
Welcome.
Welcome. What are you drinking? We all
Guys,
have-
Nothing yet. I just
Nothing
rushed
yet.
into the studio, so I'm
You
just
gotta
like,
go get a beer.
I'm just trying to catch up with everything here.
We're gonna give you
Volume
some
is
beer
super loud.
pressure now. You gotta go get a beer. Beer pressure.
I need to get
Everyone
another
hold
one
up
too.
your beers.
All I have right now is hard alcohol, so that's gonna have to do. Going back to the
Here's
whiskey.
some beer pressure for you.
Marco, you know Mo personally. You've met?
No, I
Marco?
never had
No?
the chance to meet him. No, we never
Yeah.
met in person. Of course, obviously, of course, I know the music, but we never had the chance to meet. No,
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you.
we will. My pleasure.
Yeah.
Mo, your volume is really loud.
Is it really? Should I turn down the mic?
He's got that new mic.
It's
Which
kind
one
of
are you using, Mo?
sounds like it's distorting a bit.
It's a Zoom H6.
Okay.
I'm also
Hello.
if I can
Is that
find it,
better?
maybe if
There
I
you
can log in with us. Let's see. Maybe.
Wait.
Marco, I think the last time I saw you was in Barcelona, right? We played together. And then I was in the car and we dropped you off for an after party at Shlomi Abra's studio. And I said, bye-bye. We went to the after party.
Right.
That was the last time I saw you. That was February. When was that? That was February like 2nd.
He just got back from that after party.
Are you still there? Maybe is that the room of his studio?
Still there.
This is actually funny because I was really happy because this was the very first time I played back to back with Ali, and it was like a very big pleasure. Obviously, we played in this party that we did at Input in Barcelona, and yeah, the
We had
party,
a lot of sake, I remember.
the
We had a
party,
lot of
the party
sake.
was really fun. It was really fun, honestly. So
It was-
I was in the good. I went with Shlomi Eber in his studio after party with all our friends, and it was nice morning to remember.
I know how those stories end. So I said bye-bye.
Well, Marco, hey,
Sometimes
Marco,
I'm the
how
one
old are you?
writing that story. Sometimes I'm like, no, I know how that chapter is gonna end.
What, David?
Are you regretting this by now because of the times we're in now that we were missing out on parties we should have gone to?
You know what? I'm not really a hardcore after party guy. But sometimes when just the mood is good, I just go with my friends and have fun. You know, it's like. But I'm not searching for. I don't go crazy to find after party. You know, like when it happens and it's good, I will just follow the vibe.
How old are you, Marco?
I'm 31.
Okay.
31.
That makes sense.
You lucky bastard.
Sweet.
I'm almost 32, but I say I'm 31.
When did you feel like you've made your kind of first little breakthrough? What age were you then?
It was in when I started to travel because of some music I released. It was in 2010.
Wow.
2010 was let's say the beginning of my career. I released my first record in 2006-7, but it was nothing so important to let me begin. So yeah, 2010 I started, and let's say the last 2-3 years they've been the best 2-3 years for me.
When you were really young, were you into like the techno scene coming out of Naples with the stuff Reno was doing, Gaetano?
Italy had so many
Carola.
influences. Italy was very influenced by different kind of music, as you know, because you've been working with Angels of Love for so many years. You know, back in the days, there was a big house music scene. I'm 31, but I still remember the stories, and I told with all the promoters about what they were doing. You know, Italy was they had a very big house music movement, also because of Angels of Love, and a very big techno community. The techno Naples guy, Reno, Gaetano Parisio, and all these Marco. You know, so yeah, actually, the country has been influenced by different sounds, and it is still, because in Italy, I mean, all different clubs, they do different kind of programs. They don't do like specific techno or specific house music. They book a bit of everything, like Tenax do, but also the other clubs. So, and it's cool because more artists, more people, they can have opportunity to grow up, and yeah. I mean, for me it was good because I was playing a bit. I'm still playing a bit of everything, but I used to, like, it's part of my background. So
who's an Italian name, producer and DJ that you're really watching, like you think they're going to be like the next big? Is there anybody right now that's on your radar?
There are many. There is this new guy, Francesco from Florence. The alias is Earth Collision, that I just did a remix for David, for Truncate. He released on the free compilation of remixes together with Alexander Kowalski and some other names. And it's a guy I did an EP together on BS1 some time ago. And also there is this guy Mattia Trani, which is really good. His father used to be a very old school legendary DJ in Italy, Marco Trani, the father. So yeah, there are many upcoming new talents, man. Italy is always some people that they are Italians, I don't even know, because they always put these strange names, and I don't even know that they are Italian. So sometimes they got an email, oh Marco, how are you? And I didn't even know, maybe I was playing his tracks since long time or whatever. Yeah. And yeah, there are so many. Italian scene has always many great talents.
I guess Chris and David, that's my cue to get a refill. I'll be right back.
I finished my beer. I had to get a freshie.
You know what the interesting thing is? I went to this place we have in Frankfurt, which has like over 2,000 kinds of beers, and they have this refrigerator that you can walk in, but because of the virus, you can't go in, so you can only tell the guy what kinds of beers do you want. But obviously you can tell him like, I want this, I want that. So I told him like, bring me 5 nice pale ales. He only brought me 2 pale ales and 3 like, I have them in the fridge, like a sour beer and stuff like this. And I just realized he brought me one which the expiry date went out like last month. So I'm sure the guy took the chance to just go back and say like, okay, let's get rid of like 5 beers that nobody wants here.
Yeah.
Let's test it. Cheers.
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 Mo, since you just joined, how was your week? Have you been productive?
No audio.
His Rode mic.
There,
Mike,
I'm back on, right? Okay.
there you go. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I just put my head down and just kind of got in the studio and just been focusing on making music as much as possible. I've decided to just cut out the news, cut out any kind of incoming traffic coming from external sources, reading Twitter, getting into techno drama or anything going on, because it just completely deflates my creative spirit. So, just hanging with friends and talking with people, making music, and just trying to enjoy my time that I have here at home.
Yeah, I made a conscious decision on Sunday not to watch like CNN or any of the other news programs.
I haven't watched the news in like
I feel so much better.
I don't know anything that's going on besides what I hear on here or that I see on Facebook. So
what's it saying? Ignorance is bliss.
Right
yesterday,
now.
So yesterday I woke up on Twitter, and do I wake up every morning on Twitter? No, not really. I'm trying to stay away.
I see it.
And the message from DJ Mag was, Ushuaia has decided to cancel all parties in May.
Oh yeah.
And my reaction was like, May? Like, was somebody really thinking you're still doing a party in May? And so I kind of replied to this and say, like, was anybody still serious in thinking to do a party on Ibiza this summer? Are you seriously considering this, like that they're only canceling it for May? And I know then Benny Rodriguez joined in and he said, like, I'm sure there's nothing happening till September. And then Alessandro Cottini who's a good friend of Mo as well. He basically tweeted then, everyone who thinks there's going to be any event in the next 18 months is delusional.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw this into this round here now. What do you guys think?
I think like there's so much uncertainty out there that there's so many opinions of people feeling like they're able to exert some control on the situation by having an opinion about some arbitrary date that they think things are going to get back to normal. So unless you're I don't think anybody knows.
Nobody knows.
Quite frankly, nobody knows. And
Anyone,
you know, of course, the government is not going to say, you know, you guys are basically going to be in quarantine for the next 18 months. You know, they're not going to say that. They're going to give you little slivers of hope. You know, oh, it's going to be a lockdown till this date. And then as that date approaches, they're going to say, well, things aren't going as well as we'd hoped. It's going to be a bit longer. Otherwise, it would be pandemonium.
It's like who made the reference? I don't know if it was Chris or someone else talking about like when you're at the airport and the flight's delayed, and you know sometimes the flight will be delayed 3 hours, but they're not going to say 3 hours. They'll say 30 minutes, and every 30 minutes they'll give you an update. That way people don't flip out.
That's the phase we're in. Great.
To keep you calm, let's say, you know.
Yeah, because if you say your flight's delayed for 5 hours, you go crazy.
But then the question is, until when you don't explode, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be. I think it's going to be a problem to keep all these young kids home during the summer, especially in Spain, Italy, folkloristic countries where people want to go out. It's hot, and people want to spend time on the beach, and they want to go out. So it's going to be very problematic to keep all these people home and maintain the control on the streets, because what if 2,000-3,000 people go in a square in Milan, they throw beers on the floor and they destroy everything for 1, 2, 3 days, 1 month? You need to keep this control. And how can you keep this control? By military stuff on the streets?
Yeah.
In the summer? In the middle of the summer? Now the people can say, okay, it's a month, it's 2 months.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna suffer a little bit. I'm gonna watch some movies and spend some time. But we need to consider that a lot of people are not working. They have no money. And I hear stories in my country, which is really affected by this problem. It's a very catastrophic problem. People have no money. And as soon as the companies, they reopen and they restart working, who knows how many people they can be able to go. I mean, they will get back at the normal job, or maybe they're fired because the company has no enough money to pay the people working. So it's a lot of different kind of and in the meantime, you need to keep the control. So let's see what's gonna happen, you know. Honestly, I'm very optimistic in this sense. Not that we're gonna open tomorrow, but I'm very optimistic because there must come a solution very soon. Otherwise, it's difficult to maintain the control in this situation, you know.
Do you think we'll open in some capacity before there's a vaccine?
I have an optimistic vision. Some people will say I'm crazy, and I understand because everybody has a different opinion. But I believe in July, beginning of August, there might be something, which is not meaning festivals or big parties or wow, crazy things, but something, you know, maybe
you're now sounding like the woman at the counter saying like, we're going to be boarding in the next 30 minutes, knowing it's going to be in 5 hours.
And you know what? When you know why I say this? Because if this is not happening, means that 1 month before some catastrophic event will happen in terms of in the society, you know, I mean, people going crazy. It's really, I know my country, I know the people, it's really difficult to maintain. It's really difficult to maintain.
You guys are really social. The Italians are so social, and keep them hunkered down like that for long periods of time. I can't imagine. Even in Spain and France, I talk to my friends there, and it's people. It's different in America because Americans aren't that like,
You live in Barcelona,
social people, in comparison to Europe. So I don't think culturally it's having as much of an effect, with Americans as it is with Europeans. And I can't imagine what that must be like for all the Europeans out there. But what do you guys think, assuming it'll restart in some limited capacity, what do you guys think that will look like? What will that landscape look like? I mean, I'm talking to a lot of chef friends of mine and listening to a lot of podcasts by chefs and people in the restaurant and hospitality industry, and everybody's wondering, and nobody knows, everyone's wondering what a restaurant experience is going to look like. And it makes you think about what a club experience is going to look like. Is everybody going to be wearing masks and gloves?
Yeah.
And you got a little hole in your mask to sip your beer or drink or what is that new normal look like?
I personally think there's going to be beyond like the clubs and bars and restaurants opening up little by little to like small capacities. There's going to be a whole renegade scene for sure that are going to be throwing parties like in the forest super far away. That's going to be super hard to get. And there's
going to go illegal and underground again.
I think so, for sure.
I mean, Dustin was on the show last week, and we had a chat this week, and he was saying that there are parties happening in Berlin already.
Yeah, but it makes no sense.
There's,
If you think
there's
it
illegal
makes
parties.
no sense. In terms of sharing the virus, it makes no sense because it's better to put people in a club with controls and stuff than let people go around in the squares and destroying everything, throwing.
But when you know how it is, Marco. When you're young, I mean, people really that's the last thing on their mind. They're not thinking. It's like people who smoke and don't get cancer carry on smoking. So it's the same with the virus.
You'll see. You'll see. I mean, pre 9/11, nobody thought that we would ever have the kind of intrusive security that we have, right?
Yeah.
But that became our new normal.
Yeah.
Post 9/11, and now we accept it. It's annoying. In certain countries, it's more annoying than others, but we accept it. And maybe the new normal with going out until there's a vaccine is everyone getting their temperature checked, everyone having to wear gloves and masks, or a combination of those things. I don't know.
Do you think people will
do it? I guess this is the question for the fans who are watching. Would you guys wait until there's a vaccine and you can go out and express yourself and have the kind of freedoms that you enjoyed before? Or would you, just for the sake of getting out of your kind of isolation, would you deal with the limitations, with the restrictions, just to go out and be amongst one another and listen to, if there's DJs that are able to like fly around and come play for you? I mean, that's a question for the fans. I mean, what would you guys, what do you guys see? What would you accept?
I think it's the latter. I think people, once they start lifting some of the restrictions, people are going to want to get out so bad and go out as much as they can, probably being as cautious as they can as well. But you'll have for sure you'll have the renegade parties that are just like, fuck that, we're going to throw a desert party and there's going to be 1,000 people. I think so anyway.
Yeah.
Do you think as a society we're going to, everyone's talking about like maybe the whole handshake thing isn't a great idea?
That's probably going to change.
That's going to change, right? And
Italians, how much do we care about this?
And maybe you're not going to be so quick to, have a sip of your friend's drink or some random person's drink or a drag from the guy in front of you. If you're playing in a club where the audience is right there in front of the DJ booth, I can't tell you how many times somebody gave me like a joint. Like maybe you're gonna be like, next time.
Next time.
Or in a past life. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, they were talking about, I forgot, where did I read this? Where I believe it was a Tim Dillon show or something, where they were talking about having these rapid testing for events. where now they're starting to consider implementing this for like baseball games and sporting events, where before you go to any kind of public event, you would have to go somewhere, get a rapid test, and then you would have on your phone like a red or a green sign that would say that you passed or you failed.
Like a
And then
burglar sticker.
and then before entering the club, you would have to show them the phone that you just got tested 2 hours ago and that you're negative and that you're allowed to come into the club. And then that would allow people who do not have the virus to come in. But of course, that would require these tests being reliable in the first place and available.
Yeah.
Reliable and
also, like,
available.
And how do they know that it's your phone? That's the other.
Well, yeah.
It's like, what if someone just snapped screenshots of the picture of the, I don't know.
Yeah, no, they were talking about that too as well. They were kind of discussing all the different types of like having your picture ID right next to the test or whatever the case may be. But of course, there's always going to be people who abuse the system and find ways to get around it. But
Exactly.
I think in general, if you really consider it, I think the majority of human beings really kind of want the best for everyone. You want to be safe. You want to be somewhere that's safe. And we might be surprised by how many people actually follow the rules, because it actually has a greater effect on humanity than just sneaking into a club and trying to scam somebody.
Yeah,
I know what I mean?
I don't think governments are going to give humanity the benefit of the doubt, though. They're going to.
Well, I'm not talking about government in particular.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the fact of putting it up to people to be honest enough to say, hey, if you want to come to this party, just go down the street to the rapid quick test place, get the test, get the check. You're healthy anyways. It's not that much. It's maybe $3 to get the test or $5 or whatever it costs, and then just come into the club.
I think it's going to be more like go to the local clinic and get that chip put into the back of your neck.
I mean,
We will not make a test for everybody.
We're going to get the backs of our necks scanned.
That's
Okay,
going
you're
to be
clean.
that's the vaccine. They're just be like, yeah, why is it going in my neck? Oh, don't worry about it.
No, that'll be your what everything.
It's the mark of the beast.
That'll be your medical record, your ID, your
biometric data.
biometric.
I think there's
Scan
definitely
with your phone and all your data is like on your phone. It's crazy.
there's definitely, we need to find somehow a middle way, because you have to have a compromise. I think, you cannot, we're in a social experiment here worldwide. Yeah, there's no clubs, no festivals, and now, I mean, we're only in like, let's say 40 days. Yeah, give it another 1, 2, 3, 4 months. What effect does it have to our society or to the world population if people are not allowed to let off steam on the weekend and go to festivals and go to clubs? What effect will it have on our psyche, on our mental health and everything? That you have to take that into account as well. Yeah. And I actually spoke to my doctor today, because I went to my, as I mentioned before on the shows, I had a test done. And it came back negative because I had all the symptoms and everything, but the test came back negative. So my doctor called me 3 days ago and he said, like, I have an antibody test now. And if you want to do it, let's do it. So I went and did the antibody test. And he called me today and he said the antibody test came back negative. So apparently I've never had the virus. The chances are that we're all going to get the virus at some point is there. So I was a little sad because I was hoping I had it already. Yeah. But then you start thinking, we're opening up slowly here in Germany. Some other places are opening up slowly. And in the past 30 days, let's say in the beginning, when everything was on a lockdown, it kind of felt like everybody's on a lockdown. All right, you're doing your thing, you're on a lockdown. Now when it's slowly starting to open up and people start to work, some very against their will very much, because there's always already reports on German television where they interview people who work in department stores. Well, department stores are not open, but small clothing stores, and they're terrified. They're really terrified because they're basically exposed to the virus, And but still, the parts of the section start working. Us DJs, we will be the last ones to go back to work at some point at all, but society also, I feel like, needs to have these events. That's part of our culture. So where do we find the middle ground in risking lives by spreading more virus and saving lives by staying home? And I mean, we have a virus on this planet, and we cannot really go about it thinking we have to try like everything possible to save every life, because that, on the other hand, will cost lives on the other side again because of craziness, of economic failure. So I think it's so incredibly important for all the politicians, and in the end, it's the politicians who decide that, right? Because the experts only going to give advice. And most experts will say everybody stays home. But then there are some experts who say like, no, that makes no sense if everybody completely stays home. That's what my doctor told me today too. It's like, it doesn't make a sense if we're all staying home completely all the time, because then we're just postponing the problem. You know, the virus will be still out there. And once we open it, then we get it. So we have to slowly go out. But this we will do by knowing we will kill people, vulnerable people, or people who get the virus and will not survive it. So this is kind of this really weird situation we're in right now, I think.
I mean, it seems like a lot of the decisions that they've been making are based on the weight on the healthcare system of each country, right? Like how is what we're doing, the decisions that we're making, the restrictions, what effect is it having on the healthcare system? You know, because nobody wants the healthcare system to collapse.
Sure.
Mm.
And also, I know they're still testing, and this whole thing is still kind of new. But isn't it with other viruses or flu viruses? Once the temperature gets warmer, it doesn't live as long, or it doesn't live.
Well, no, because I think you're seeing in warm climate areas, you're seeing that the virus is still active.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand. So that's not something that I don't think they've done extensive testing on.
Because it's like we're getting into summer. It's like we're getting into summertime now, and I wonder if that's going to affect the virus, at least the transmission of the virus at all, or not. I don't know. That's what
They didn't find out, but I think I have to make one thing clear. I think we're way not at that point yet where we should go out and do parties. I mean, honestly, there's healthcare workers who are in such a big strain of stress right now. And I think even it's too early to open up stores now and have people working there who actually want to be staying home because they're afraid of the virus, and they get forced basically to stand in their stores. I think that's way too early. But then again, you know, how much longer do you want to postpone that? But obviously right now we're still on quite a high level. But at some point, something needs to happen, I think.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound negative, but I think techno is falling really low on the priority list of things we should be concerned about, because, I mean, it's starting to get to the point where I'm starting to find friends that I'm really close with that I know who are constantly telling me that, you know, their uncle passed away or their grandfather passed away. And it's easy when you start hearing shit on the news and you don't know anyone personal that it's starting to affect, but it's starting to creep into my 2 degrees of separation now. And then that puts everything into perspective, because you know, it's different when you're seeing it on TV and you're like, oh, it'll never happen to me, but it's starting to happen to people we know more and more and more and more.
That's true.
And I don't know. I think we got to switch our focus and our mindset into helping us get over this and recovering from this before being concerned about, you know, when the next party is going to be happening.
Hey, Chris, did DJ Magazine respond to your tweet?
Actually, they didn't. We should have them on at some point and ask them about this. I mean, they were just reporting in a way, you know. Actually, we should rather talk to Ushuaia Ibiza and ask them, like, why didn't you already cancel the parties for June and July and August?
I mean, somebody sent me an article that I haven't read yet, but apparently the culture minister said that they're going to start looking at reopening Spain in 2 phases. And phase 1 will obviously include like the essential workers, but they're making leisure and culture activities kind of a later priority. So that's not going to open back up till the end of the year, apparently.
Something has already opened in Barcelona, for example.
Say again?
Something is already open in Barcelona, for example. Like a week ago, there was no cars, nothing on the street. Now, if you wake up in the morning and you look outside, there is
there's activity.
But you still can't go to the beach, can you? You still can't visit the beach. You still can't go to the beach, or you're limited.
No, it's not possible to go to the beach, but if you have a work that you can be allowed to do, I mean, I see cars every day on the street, which something last week it was impossible to see, like impossible. It was a completely desert, the street.
Wow.
Yeah, from this week on, it started to gain some. I don't know which kind of work people are doing, but obviously I see more movement on the street. Which is a small change, you know, like something that it's a small signal. I don't know, but still, it's like better than nothing. Let's say.
Yeah.
Chris, we have about 10 minutes left. Are there any questions from people watching?
I'm actually just talking to our producer.
Because we're going to try to get into the habit towards the end of the show, I guess the last 15 minutes to half an hour of taking questions and eventually bringing into our little chat via the attendees list. We're allowed to have 100 attendees. So we're going to try to bring, you know, a guest in, just a random guest.
Do we have that already?
In our little group. And I don't think we have it quite ready for this week. Right?
Okay.
Or do we?
No. That's future thinking, guys.
That's future thinking. Okay, so
we're not there yet. As I say, we're slowly upgrading our game.
And Marco,
so for everyone watching, in the future, we're gonna bring in some random person to join our little video chat group.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Marco, are you doing any streams this weekend then? Were you doing any DJ mixes? What are you doing?
Actually, no. I just released a new podcast today on Exceed, which is also something you did, like this small Q&A interview, something super funny. And not really. I have planned to do no, I have a mix actually, but it's on the radio in Italy.
Okay.
And this AM2 radio, which is the main national radio in Italy, it's going on from 1 till 3 a.m. Italian time.
And I think we might do a Tenax thing together, maybe in May, possibly. I think.
Yes.
Possibly.
May 2022.
no, as in a live stream through Tenax.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I don't want to sound negative, but I think it's May 2022.
There's Andy.
Hey.
No, we will open the club straight away. It's better.
Can everyone see Andy?
Yeah.
He just disappeared now.
Well, we lost Andy again. Andy, come back.
I think you got rid of him, Chris.
No, I didn't. So for those who just joined us, Andy is joining us now, or not? yeah, come on, Andy. Come on.
Guys, you're not drinking. You're not drinking anything.
I'm like drunk already.
I just wanted to tell you.
4:30 in the afternoon in Washington.
Is that a Desperado, Marco?
Yeah, it is. You know what? Because I did a streaming the other day, which was sponsored by Desperados. It's good. I like it. But they sent me like 40. I woke up in the morning. They ring my door at 9 in the morning. They ship me like 40 beers. So I was like, and I just had to put one on the table or something. They ship me 40 beers. So it's my house is full of beers now. I need to put them all.
Can't turn down free booze.
So anytime,
welcome, Andy.
What's up, Andy?
Invite me.
Gentlemen, good evening. Hello.
What's up, man?
Andy has been monitoring our chat. How are the people behaving?
People are good. Obviously, everyone has some thoughts and opinions on all the Corona chat and when things are going to be open and the rules and how desperate people are for partying. I think it's safe to say that no one has any clue what's going on, but everyone has an opinion of sorts. But maybe it's nice to hear some questions which are a little bit off that topic and, find out a bit of anecdotes or some technical info or some music questions. I have, they've all started coming in now. We've said that we're going to answer some questions, but I've got a few saved. So I'm going to go through a couple here and try and do some like round the group questions. Let's see, for each one of you guys, who was the one DJ that inspired and pushed you to start DJing yourself? That comes from Jackie Guevara. Maybe Marco wants to start off being a special guest. Did you get that?
Let's say my first real, let's say, techno inspiration was Laurent Garnier as a DJ. It was a DJ I really loved because of his versatility, the way to play different stuff, always with a very good level. He's not the DJ that you call techno or a DJ you call house or whatever. He's an artist that can be able to play every different kind of music in a party. And this is, I mean, when I felt in love when I saw him playing at 10x more than 10 years ago in a party, and I was like, as I said, in love with the set. But this is, and it was like the, let's say, the spark who let me really understand that I wanted to do this kind of music and this way of changing my sound. You know, I was always like, oh, if I'm doing an house set or if I'm doing a techno set or whatever, if he can do it, maybe one day I can do it as well, you know. So obviously I love, I've been following all of you guys, and I love you all. but yes, Laurent Garnier was my first love in electronic music.
I kick you out of the group now, Marco. Bye.
Bye.
Mo, what's yours?
I would say, without a doubt, it would definitely be Jeff Mills. He was definitely a huge inspiration for me. And then I remember when I first traveled outside of LA, I went to Detroit in maybe 2000 or 2001. And I went to Richie Houghton was throwing a control party. And he played a 12-hour set. And back then, I think this is when he was still playing 140 BPM hard techno. And that 12-hour set completely blew my mind. And shortly after that, I would definitely say Speedy J, when I first saw him play Yell Party in Detroit, flipped my world upside down. And then also when you guys did collabs the year after, was just like, I think that set me on the path of musically of where I wanted to go.
Wow. Mo, you can stay on.
No, but honestly, I'll say that Jochen Pop's music has probably influenced me more than just anything, because like the diversity of the styles and stuff, like when he did the Shocking Hobby album, which he had mentioned in the past, it was like infusing electronica and industrial music, and then you would hear him do these like live techno sets, and just that diversity of musical styles really just completely influenced me. And as you can see, even me as an artist today, my musical style is so diverse as well. I'm not always just doing 4/4 techno stuff. And I think that's kind of, I don't know, gave me a vision to see how many opportunities and directions there were to go musically.
And then I can recommend everyone to listen to Mo's album, Sleep Complex. Sleep Complex, back on CLR. That's definitely one to listen to.
Yeah.
David?
I guess if we go back to the very beginning, it was actually my brother that got me into DJing. He was, you know, like, I don't know if we spoke about this before, but like in LA back in the 90s, it was like a huge backyard party scene and just like ditching parties and stuff like that. So my brother was really into that, and I saw him DJing, and that got me interested into DJing. And he would drive me to his friend's house, and I would play on his DJ setup and stuff like that. So as far as like starting as a DJ, that's what got me into it. But then when I got to more influences from bigger artists like Jeff Mills and Dave Clark, and I mean Ben Sims for sure, all those guys definitely, like I was trying to get to that level of skills behind the decks, you know, because I love the quick cuts and you know, just like not crazy with effects. I know Dave is kind of crazy with the effects now, but as far as like the mixing and the quick in and out, I really enjoyed that. That inspired me in the beginning.
And how does it feel like? Because you're playing with Ben Sims now these days, back to back, and what all these guys.
I tell Ben all the time. I was like, man, I can't believe I'm playing with you. He always tells me to shut up, but
Yeah.
but it's still super bizarre. Like it's so crazy that I even get to, you know, play back to back with him and work on music with him. It's a trip still. Even until now, it's a trip.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I'd agree with that as well. It's so interesting. Like I've been fortunate and blessed to be able to like actually sit down and work with everybody who's inspired me and has been a part of like my musical development growing up. It's an awesome feeling.
Ali?
Me, Laurent Garnier for sure. I mean, he wasn't the one that got me into DJing. It was probably just like local guys who, you know, who didn't really, you know, their careers didn't extend to outside like the DC scene. But Laurent was coming and playing open to close sets in Washington, DC for a couple of friends of mine. One of them ended up becoming my lawyer for many, many years. But they were throwing these early kind of rave style events, and Laurent would come, and I think maybe I was even underage, but I was allowed to come while like the venue wasn't open, and Laurent would arrive and, you know, get all his music together, and I was just like kind of watching from the sidelines, and then I would stay till the very end of the night and just watch him weave so many different styles of music from the very beginning.
He's very much a DJ's DJ, is he?
When
Yeah,
it was
he
Ali.
was like the first international DJ that really inspired me to kind of go international or think international. But there was a lot of amazing DJs in DC that we had, a couple of English guys that really got me into the craft. Yeah.
Ali, which year it was, more or less?
This is like late 80s, early 90s, like 1990.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking
Matt?
that the first time I saw him playing, I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
It's quite funny.
I mean, it was
really,
so funny. There was like, back then in DC, there was two clubs, and I've said this in interviews, but it's really funny to think about it. There was two clubs, and both of the residents were English for some reason. There's not a lot of English people in DC, but these residents were English. Christian Wolf and Ian Carnes. They played in two different clubs that were right next to one another. And Christian was like an incredible programmer, and technically he was perfect, like beat mixing, you know, vinyl. Ian train wrecked every single mix. Like he just could not mix. And everybody would just kind of roll their eyes, and you know, all the DJ wannabes or the DJs at the time would just be like, what the fuck? But this guy was huge, and you know, he would train wreck the mix, but the song that he would play would make everybody go crazy. So I learned the technical part of it from Christian, and then next door, Ian taught me, you know, what you play, how important it is to play a certain song at a certain time of night, and how to build from one song to the next. So for him, it didn't matter that he couldn't mix. It was about like playing the right song at the right time. And they were residents there for years. But those were the two valuable lessons that I learned early on as far as the craft of DJing.
And Matt?
For me, I mean, I think I was really inspired by the movie Wild Styles. So Grandmaster Flash and DJ Grand Wizard Theodore. This was like 1982, but then I was super young. So it wasn't until my late teens when I started going to clubs in London, like the Milk Bar, listening to David Durrell and Pete Tong back then, and also Danny Rampling. And then I was super lucky because in the early 90s, we had the Ministry of Sound, which opened, and then Larry Levan was resident there for almost, I think maybe 2 years before he died. And we used to go every Friday. So I got completely schooled by him. I was completely influenced by everything he did. He used to play tracks like CC Peniston Finally for like half an hour.
Yeah.
Play the vocal version, then he'd play the mono dub. And by the time, you know, he'd finished this long spiraling mix, you know, everyone would be going crazy. But he introduced me to so much, you know, crazy music. And a lot of people booed him at the time, you know, because I think it was such a huge rave scene there was clubs like Rage going on as well, which we used to go to, but I guess it was the variety and there was everyone from Jocelyn Brown doing live PAs and yeah, it was incredible. That period, it was very diverse, and a lot of my friends who were jazz funk heads in the 80s were going there, and he would play everything from jazz to disco, and so yeah, he was probably the one, and I was super lucky, I guess.
Andy, what was the question again? And who was it by?
Who was the one DJ that inspired and pushed you to start DJing yourself?
The one DJ, the one. And who is asking this question?
Jackie Guevara.
I think for me it was back in the days when in my little hometown Gießen, and maybe some are watching. Hi everyone. There was a club called Vogue, and it was open till 3 at night, and everything else closed at 1. And the DJ there was so forward thinking. His name was Serge, and Serge. And he always drove to Frankfurt to buy his records, but that was way before, let's say, acid house, techno. And he was playing stuff like Sly and Robbie and all these kind of different styles, but everything, he just played stuff that you'd never heard on the radio. And in hindsight, and I just only realized it in the not so distant past, that actually he very much influenced my kind of thinking about DJing a lot, because he just always thought out of the box. He had this great situation where he was the only place that was open at that time, so he could basically force people who still wanted to go out to listen to his music, and he used it. You know, he didn't go the way to play like this the commercial radio hits. He just played the most obscure stuff. Hip hop stuff, electro stuff, and it was a really mixed crowd in that place. And I remember that really vivid, and that had quite an effect on me. But I have a second one, which I, in hindsight, kind of like realized more and more that it had an effect on me, and it's Danny Tenaglia. I think it must have been around mid '90s that I was in New York, kind of for the first time, and I somehow ended up at, and maybe Ali, you can help me with the club names that were there.
Factory or Shelter?
Not the Factory, it was beyond Factory, past Factory.
Tunnel.
Huh?
The Tunnel or Roxy?
The Roxy, it was the Roxy, and Danny Tenaglia played there like I don't know, 25 gazillion hours.
Yeah, he's a beast.
And just also I was really very heavily into the old Strictly Rhythm sound, you know, that old Maurizio stuff from Strictly Rhythm, all these wild pitch mixes from DJ Pierre, the mixes that are like 12, 13 minutes long, raving lunatics and all that stuff. And I love that stuff. And and especially Danny, he just played that stuff for like extended. And as you said, Matt, like mixing it up with thousands other stuff. And you would hear the same record basically for like 30 minutes, but still mixed up with other stuff. And I found that just totally mind blowing back in the days.
Many of you said more than one artist. If I have to be honest, because you say was the first artist who influenced your music, whatever. But I started DJing because my father was a DJ back in the 80s.
Oh, really?
Wow.
It was the very first influence. When I started DJing, I was a bit lucky because I had a very good collection from the 80s, music from Imaginations, from Jean-Michel Jarre, the very first records. And my father was doing the top 10 in a very small local radio station. And this is where I really started to know a little bit about music. But I mean, if you talk about DJ set or being a DJ or whatever, Laurent was obviously a good influence for me. But my father came way earlier, from my real beginning.
So after all this time, you're just revealing now that your father was a DJ? What?
He should come on the show.
He should come on the show.
My father, I tell you something. My father is probably watching us right now.
Oh, really?
Did a good job.
I can tell you 100%.
Hello,
And
Daddy Farone. You're responsible for them.
Papa Farone.
He's my first fan, let's say. But let's say, I mean, he was DJ. Most of the people knows my father was a DJ because I wrote in many interviews, and I always say that. But I mean, he introduced me to the music, to listen the first kind of stuff, you know. But obviously, I grew up my own musical taste when I started to go to the clubs and listen to different kind of music, and then I really understood what I wanted to do. But he was the very, very first influence. Yeah.
Hey guys, if we want to go through some more of those questions, we really have to be a little bit more quicker with our answers, okay?
Otherwise, we got answers then, Chris.
I think we have time for one more because we're already past the hour and a half mark. We have time for one more question, Andy. What do you say? Or
let's agree on 2 more questions, and we do it quickly.
Let's do a real quick fire one here. Daniela Horianga. Hypothetically, if you were never to DJ again, what job would you guys do? Brackets, I know it's second best to anything music, but what would you secretly work as? Chris, start it off.
I probably would have become a pilot. I would probably fly planes somewhere.
Cool.
Me,
Marco?
chef, probably. Chef, yeah, obviously. I love food so much.
Come on, we do the quick answering round.
Yeah. That was
or brewery or brewer or something like that.
Artist,
Right.
painter, something like that.
a what?
Painter, artist, or just something like that.
Did you say it's something besides music completely?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would definitely be photography or an artist or something like that.
Marco?
I was about to say photographer as well, or graphic designer. That's what I like. Yeah.
Everyone creative. Everyone's sticking in the creative. Apart from Chris, pilot.
Piloting is not that creative, but it's a lot of fun, I guess, I tell you.
Okay, there's the bars, the adrenaline. Jesper Lund. This is going to seem a pretty obvious one to you guys, but maybe interesting for people to hear. Are you guys suffering financially due to the missing live sets, or are you experiencing an increased income from Beatport, Spotify, etc.? So other streaming stuff on your online stuff. Maybe it just needs one quick answer from one of you guys to sum it up.
No.
What do you mean? Before we got like €2, now we get like 3.
How does your online revenue compare to the live sets? You know, interesting for people to know how that works a little bit. Kind of a quick insight.
Anyone?
Music revenue is definitely not as much as what people think. And even like, if you think about even like a really huge artist, like a pop artist, even off of streams, they're not making that much money. So what makes you think about a regular, like almost unknown artist like that compared to them? It's really not at all what people think.
I think also a lot of, for people who are just making music and maybe not DJs, I know that a lot of things have been put on hold, a lot of production, stuff like that, where they may be doing music for films, production stuff. So it's equally as hard for for people who didn't have another income like DJing or touring. So yeah, tough.
Do you think it's more important for artists to consider their, not just playing live, but to consider their productions, their social media online, all the other possible revenue streams that there could be in 6, 12, 18 months time, rather than just relying totally on the live sets or DJing out there?
I think for me, I already started considering that a few years ago. I mean, gigs, being able to travel ever since I became a father was starting to become harder and harder. And I was already starting to think about ways to have other revenue streams, obviously still in music, because to be frankly honest with you, I've done nothing else since I was 15 years old and I don't know how to do anything else. So I started kind of getting into doing film scores and sound design, stuff like that. But even that line of work has been on complete hold since this virus thing has hit. So that didn't even prove to be a reliable source of income when all of this started happening. But yeah, it's certainly grim times right now. That's for sure.
Tough times. Chris, maybe that pilot qualification is not looking so unrealistic. Okay, another quick fire one. Maybe there's some interesting anecdotes here. What was the name? Alex Ortiz. What is the longest after party you have ever made? I reckon it's got to be somewhere between Ali, Matt, Chris.
Made. What
You
is
guys
that?
like played at or attended?
You know, I'm going to say you've ever attended or played, but attended. And where was it? And give us an anecdote.
I think
For
for
me,
me, go on,
for
go
me, for me, Sunwaves, probably.
Okay.
Like I
I
played
was about to
6.5
say-
hours. I remember I think that year Never Dogs guys, they were hanging and they kept pushing their flight back. I don't think they were playing, they had played in Odessa. And then, or somewhere in, I can't remember where it was, Bulgaria. And then they drove to come to Sunwaves for the first time. And we were hanging and they knew I was going to do a long set. And they told me, that they have a flight at a certain time. And I kept, noticing them in the DJ booth every 6-7 hours, and they were still there and they kept pushing their flight back and they were getting more and more trashed. But for me, that was brutal. That was 26.5 hours of staying up, dancing, not sitting down. Yeah, and partying.
Sunwaves has got to be one of the.
Does partying at Berghain for a really long time count as an after party? Because that's the longest
How long
I've
is
done.
a long time?
The longest I've done
Berghain's too intense
Berghain
to be
is 20,
after party,
25
sure.
hours. I've done 25
No,
hours.
I thought we did 30 hours one time, didn't we? No, I'm
Matt?
pretty sure we went for longer than 24 hours, dude.
Matt, I'm sure you've had some pick
I
after.
can't remember if that
I mean,
counts.
the longest set I've ever played at Panorama Bar was like 13 hours. So that was starting at Sunday evening. But if that's like is considered an after party. But I think 2007, maybe Miami Winter Music Conference. I think I lost track of what day it was. We were just out and out, and that's it. But
So kind of like right now, yeah.
yeah, it was kind of like Groundhog Day, but with a lot of parties. But not particularly one party, but it just all blurred into a lot of parties. But yeah,
Nice.
Chris?
I'm not really an after party person. I can't. I don't even know, because I usually at some point I just get to the point where I just want to be in my bed for some reason. I'm just a really boring person at some point. Ali knows that. That sometimes, we could like hang out somewhere and I'm just like, I just want to go to bed. I leave, and then I just sneak away without saying goodbye. I know I'm terrible.
So Marco was the one that didn't answer.
Mine was at Sunwaves. Yeah, 2 days nonstop. I played, but I hang out with my friends, and I didn't realize the time, anything. And the longest set was 20 hours at U60 in Frankfurt.
oh wow,
20?
Oh yeah, that was a legendary club.
20 hours
I actually just did. I just did a post about this yesterday. You saw that? I drove by. Look at my Instagram. I took a photo of the U60 yesterday.
Chris,
You know
you
what's
were a
funny?
resident there, right?
Huh?
I have a funny
You were a
story.
resident there, right? I'm sorry.
It was, yeah.
I actually
I
actually played the club the night where that tragic thing happened, which ended up being the reason the club closed.
Really? Oh my
And
God,
I was actually playing when that happened, which was pretty shitty.
I played not long before that on a New Year's Eve gig, and never got paid.
Oh.
Yep.
Shall we do one more question and then we say goodbye?
I saw, I don't know the name now, but I saw a question to Marco. Someone was asking who your next hot DJs are. So maybe this is a nice chance to give a shout out to some young artists or DJs, producers out there.
What does you want to know?
Who your next like hot tip for DJs or artists are? So who you think is a really promising up and coming young artist or DJ?
I'd like to give a shout out to my homegirl Annika Wolf in LA. She's been cutting it up and doing some great music. She's really on the up and rise and doing some good stuff.
Definitely. She did a remix for the contest. That was good.
Yeah, obviously.
So,
I think that question was for Marco, Mo.
Yeah.
I already mentioned.
Oh, my bad.
David, you're talking about the guy from Italy, no?
Sorry.
You were talking about the guy on the remixes.
No, what the person Mo was talking about, she also did a remix for the contest. That was really good. Yeah. But I thought the question was for everybody.
Yeah.
Marco, do you have anyone that that you really support right now, artist-wise, DJ-wise?
Actually, on the label, I'm releasing so many new talents because this is like actually my main goal, to release new talents and to put them together with establishing names in the scene. I have to say the guy S Collision, the guy who made the remix for David on the compilation, which is from Florence, is a very good friend of mine. I have this new guy Kenny Richards, which he did a very good track that also Matt played and Chris.
Yeah, super good.
And he had the very first release on my label. I'm very proud to discover this guy because I believe he has a very good potential. And yeah, I mean, there are so many great producers. This guy Pushman, which is doing this kind of Robert Twitch kind of vibe.
He sends me
Mattia
music.
Trani from me. There are many great artists, man. It's like so many. I mean, I think David, since the last remixes that he got, he had so many good versions and stuff. You know, I mean, he maybe discovered so many great names, and I'm sure that Matt will also discover so many great names with this new contest. It's really interesting to see how many people sometimes we cannot pay attention to because we are traveling and we are focusing on other things. But there are so many people making great music, and sometimes we should consider to pay more attention to them.
Maybe guys, if you have some great recommendations, write them on in the comment section of this video when it's gone live on your Facebook or on the YouTube, and shout out to all these artists. Matt, I also put the link to the remix contest in the comments here, so I think it went to all of the profiles where the comments were.
We really talked about it in the beginning. It's a very good thing that many of the artists are doing. I mean, in this moment, Matt and David are doing in the David just did. It's a very good thing, man. We discover so many great talents making good music, and sometimes we don't have time touring and stuff. We need to. It's very important that we pay attention sometimes to music that people send us, because
I want to give a shout out to a young talent. His name is Frankie Bromley, and he's from Manchester. And he just basically is 18 years old. And I met him at when I did my album release party in Manchester at a bar. And he was like super young, standing in the background, but so knowledgeable. He keeps sending me tracks. He's DJing already. He's so in there with his heart and passion. So that's a name to look out for. Frankie Bromley.
Nice.
Nice one, guys.
Good to know.
I feel like my job here is done. You can sign off now.
Guys, thanks so much for the amazing talk. Marco, it was amazing to have you on board. My beers are empty as well.
It was a big pleasure to have this time with you guys.
Your album is out tomorrow on Records, which is Matt's label.
Actually, the vinyl, it's out 2 days ago on June. The big announcement of the release, it's when the digital comes, and it's coming today. I think Spotify is releasing the music at midnight. So I hope people is at in an hour or something. It will be on Spotify. But the vinyl came out 2-3 days ago. It's already available on Juno and some of the websites.
Well, consider this your album release party.
Congratulations, Martin.
It's your album release party. So, what do you guys have planned? I'm having a stream coming up this Saturday at 10 p.m. Central European time, so Frankfurt time. Not sure. I guess I'm going to be playing longer than 2 hours again. I suppose so. What do you guys have planned this week? What can people look into, watch out for besides Marco's album and my stream?
Mo and I have a stream we're doing with the local LA promoters, Compound. I can't remember the date though. but I think it's pretty soon. But we're all gonna, Mo and I will blast it on Facebook, so we'll be doing that. It's gonna be all LA artists, so that should be pretty cool.
If you guys have some streaming in the next days, just let me know, because we can also maybe support in Italy by cross-posting the streaming on Tenax, which is really, we did with Chris already. I can talk to the guys, and if you want to have some promotion in Italy, I mean, making some noise in Italy, just let me know, and we will open a cross-post. I will do this for you. It's fine.
That'd be great. Actually, our stream that I'm doing with David is Friday, May 1st.
Okay.
That's a big weekend for streaming. There's a lot going on.
Every weekend now. I found this. I think streaming midweek is the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
Ali?
Every week, Saturday night, from 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, I do typically a techno set, and then Sundays are reggae, dub and reggae. And that seems to be really what?
Considering the time change, they can tune in when I finish on Saturday, right?
Yeah, I think it's working out that way, right?
Yeah. Well planned out, dude. Planned out.
Yeah.
And by the way, for those who are asking in the chat, yes, I will play some of my new mixes that I've done for the album. And Matt, what have you planned besides the release party tomorrow?
Just finishing your remix, Chris. That's it.
Yay! Can I play it on the weekend too? Then your remix?
Yeah, I'll try and do maybe three versions probably, and then I've got a list on my wall. I pinned it to the wall of all of the jobs, all the things that I promised people months ago. I'm slowly working through it. So yeah.
Chris, you need to start working on my remix then.
I will. That's my next. Looking so forward. It's so inspiring.
Yeah.
Now it's official. You cannot take out of it.
I didn't want to.
You're on the spot.
I think we should maybe ask all the people that are watching to submit topics that they're interested to get our opinions on. Andy, maybe you can collate that, and we can tackle each of those topics week after week.
Yeah, guys, also who's watching now and who's watching maybe later when we load up the stream, we will probably most likely next Monday send out a post where we will include an email address where the first 100 people will be able to join the attendee list on our Zoom chat and be able to chat with us directly, and we'll take it from there. So as I said, we're upgrading our game here. If it's even upgradable, we're so good.
I think we're getting better. We're getting better week by week.
Yeah.
That was show number 5.
This one felt more structured.
Definitely.
That was show number 5, guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Beers. I had
Jam
2
beer.
of
Thank
really
you.
nice IPAs. Thank you.
The IPA too.
Andy, thank you so much for being our producer in show number 5. I hope you're going to be back in show number 6.
It's a pleasure. I look forward to it.
Thanks, Andy.
Great.
Hearing
Show
your
number
mutterings.
6 next Thursday, 9 p.m. Tune in again, everyone.
Sounds
Good
good.
night. Thanks,
Cheers.
everyone.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Ciao.
Ciao.